a lot of the people that will be listening to this are young people who want to have a career in the outdoors, either as like a professional angler or just to work in the outdoors or be an influencer. I have a lot of people that are interested in being the next YouTube star. And so it's really encouraging for me to hear, Bill, for you to talk about, when you started and, everybody sees you as this incredibly successful figure in the outdoor industry, but you started where some of these people are right now and had a dream and wanted to make it come true. And you just didn't give up, right?
No, that is exactly right. And it was painful. I mean, I think a lot of times that people think I can't make my way. There were so many times starting this business off, I really and truly think I wasn't going to make it. And I didn't have the money a lot of times to pay my bills on time. But, the one thing I'm most proud of is, we never gave up. And the people that came on with me early never gave up either.
Hey, somehow or another, you found yourself at the Fishing Business Podcast, and I'm glad you're here. I'm Angie Thompson. I'm your host today, and I've got a special treat for you today. Realtree. Have you ever heard of them? I'm sure you have. Everybody that has ever done anything in the outdoors has heard of Realtree. And today we have the founder of Realtree, Bill Jordan, and his son, Tyler Jordan, as guests on the Fishing Business Podcast. Now, Realtree started as a hunting brand decades ago and now has branched out into fishing. So I thought it would be an awesome opportunity for you guys to hear how they branched out and why they branched out. What I want you to do as you listen to this is think about how you can branch out and increase your audience by bringing in some of your other passions besides fishing into what you do. Think about that as you're watching this. It's a really great interview. Bill Jordan and Tyler Jordan on the Fishing Business Podcast. Here we go, y'all. It's going to be good. I'm very excited to have the two of you on the Fishing Business Podcast today. It really is an honor and a privilege, and I feel like you need no introduction. Everybody out there knows who both of you are, but I'm excited to have Bill Jordan and Tyler Jordan from Realtree and Realtree Outdoors. You guys, I'm almost like tongue-tied because I feel like I'm in the presence of celebrities, which I am.
You've known me for a long time, so you know better.
No, that is the truth. But I did, and I want you to notice I did say Jordan because I'm from South Alabama, so I understand the correct way you're supposed to pronounce things.
I was about to say, that's one of very few people that get that right on an interview or something.
Well, I went to Auburn and I called it Jordan Hare Stadium.
It still is.
That's right. It still is. That's right. Well, hey, if you don't mind, I want to start a little bit with Tyler. Tyler, what's your role at Realtree? What are you doing these days?
Yeah, so I graduated from Ole Miss back in 2015. Always kind of been around the company with Dad, traveling and being involved with the television show. So when I graduated, came back, started in the marketing department, handling some of our partnerships that we have with some of our brands. And, I've also enjoyed, traveling with Dad here the last 4 or 5 years. Going to a bunch of different places, filming for Realtree Outdoors on the Outdoor Channel. And then also we just launched Realtree Road Trips Digital, which is not the same Realtree Road Trips from the television show, but Realtree Road Trips Digital. Myself, a couple of my buddies, Riley Green, Austin Riley, Brian Brown, who works at Realtree, has been heavily involved in it. So, we've been on the road a bunch, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
And so we're having a really good time. But just, working beside Dad and learning a lot about the business here the last 4 or 5 years, even more, than maybe, before college. It's just been a lot of fun. And, when you work with family, it can be difficult or it could be, but for me, it's like, this is what I've always known. And, working with Dad's just been a pleasure and hopefully can continue to do it for a long time.
Well, Bill, that's got to make you feel good.
It does, because I had to give him $20 to say it.
That's right.
It would take more than 20, but no, I think that's one thing. And, I've kind of run the same circles, knowing each other for a long time. And, through all the Bassmasters from many years ago and FLW. And, I often tell people, I kind of came in, as you and I were talking about the originally was on TNN television, and that goes back to Roland Martin and Hank Parker and people that you know well and know
Right.
and Jimmy Houston, over at ESPN, and Bill Dance, that kind of the group that I came through with, even though those guys, I'd like to say they are still a little bit older than I am, but I came through with those guys, which was a great pleasure for me. And I learned so much, from those guys early on too, about television and broadcast and how to reach the audience.
Yeah. And it's crazy now. Somebody asked me the other day, and I thought you're going to get a kick out of this, y'all. He said, somebody asked me the other day, they said, mentioned somebody's name who used to have a show on ESPN. And he said, all those retired guys that you worked for or worked with. And I was like, well, I don't think they're retired. and
no, let me tell you something. They're still active on TV, all of them, and still doing a lot of stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody kind of had, we went through a period where everybody kind of had to reinvent themselves a little bit when digital came on and the internet came on. But that's one thing I think Realtree has always been really good at. Can you talk about that a little bit about, you've always recognized the value of content, haven't you, as a company?
It's been very important, for us as a company just to recognize the current trends that are out there, and, even though I'm an older dad, I have a 12-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter who's about to turn 15, and Tyler's sitting beside me at 28. But, you learn so much from them, what their likes and dislikes are and how they get their content.
Right.
And so, we've got some great people at our office too that, we look at it every day and trying to keep up with the trends. But the television stuff is still very, very important to us, as is print advertising.
Yeah.
But the digital is a new wave of an age of reaching the younger people and demographics. And,
right.
And Tyler can tell you too, we're heavily involved in it.
Yeah. You got it.
Our own, Realtree 365 app that we just came out with a couple years ago. And
that's cool.
We're excited. So Realtree Road Trips is on the app, and we have some shows that are exclusive duck hunting shows. We're working on building out some fishing programming right now with some of our, people that we have, pro anglers on there too. So yeah, it's pretty fun. It's on YouTube as well, but we do have our own app that's some of that is exclusive to the app. So
that's great. Well, I've as you said, I've been around you guys for a long time. I know a lot of the people that work there. Scott Hughes and I went to college together, and it always I know it's a family business, but outside of the actual blood family, it seems like the people that work there did all seem to feel like family, and let y'all feel like family to each other. And so Tyler, I'm curious, how do you think your dad developed that culture?
I think it just goes with how dad treats people, and I say it's not just dad. I mean, dad's just got an infectious love for people and, great personality. So I think automatically people, he talks to them like he does to me, my little brother and sister. And so I think all that just kind of rubs off on everybody. I've been lucky just to be at Realtree working. So haven't had the experience of working everywhere else, but, I listen to some people that maybe are some of my friends that are, going through their jobs and stuff. And maybe that culture is not exactly like ours, so you feel really blessed and lucky that, a lot of the people in there are some of my best friends, even outside the office, that everybody, it really does feel like one extended family, and y'all just care and love for each other, but it starts at the top, with him, I'm sure.
Is that something you did intentionally, Bill?
Not really. That's just, as Tyler said, that's just part of my personality. I'm a caring person. A lot of people may not see that or know that, but I'm a caring person. And, that's not about my family, but I care about all of our employees, and, when people get started in life, I started this business off with one employee. And so, I didn't have any health benefits, couldn't offer them anything, low salaries, everything in between. I was added 2 or 3 others, along the way. Ray Lynch, you remember Ray? And, so, when we got 4, 5, 6 people, I couldn't pay them real well. And we were paychecks to everybody, didn't exactly go out on our end on time. But that love for each other and that caring for each other started, way back when. And I remember telling the employees, I said, if we ever make it, if I ever make it, if y'all make it, we make it, I promise you, we'll have health benefits, we'll have good salaries, we'll have matching 401ks, which we do have. And those, hey, they believed me. So I was shocked they stayed around. But, we did all those great and wonderful things. And those people, my original employees that I had, are still with us today. And, retiring now as we all get older. But we started that thing long time ago. And that comes, I think, a lot too, Angie, and Scott can tell you, people that at our place, that really started with me back with my family, my mom and dad, having certain values in life. And so, that certainly has played a big role for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've said this on the podcast before, and I've said it to a lot of people in person, but I really do think that the outdoor industry is different from a lot of industries, because a lot of the businesses are family oriented, or they feel like family, and the industry feels like a family. When you go to the SHOT Show or ICAST, you feel like you're at a family reunion.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, the industry is so small. You don't have like the turnover you do like in corporate America. With being a licensing company, we deal with a lot of corporate companies as well over the last 30 years. And so you see turnover a lot with people like Chevrolet, Coca-Cola, Mellow Yellow, companies like that. You don't deal with the same people sometimes every 3 to 4 years. They're rotating people in and out of there all the time. But at a company like this, and it seems like most companies in our industry, you all kind of know each other. It's a small circle. And, we've been lucky that a lot of the people that we have come to the office stay there for, a long time. And I think that hopefully speaks to, the culture that Dad has helped cultivate and build there.
I love that. And, a lot of the people that will be listening to this are young people who want to have a career in the outdoors, either as like a professional angler or just to work in the outdoors or be an influencer. I have a lot of people that are interested in being the next YouTube star. And so it's really encouraging for me to hear, Bill, for you to talk about, when you started, and, everybody sees you as this incredibly successful figure in the outdoor industry, but you started where some of these people are right now, and had a dream and wanted to make it come true, and you just didn't give up, right?
No, that is exactly right. And it was painful. I mean, I think a lot of times that people think I can't make my way. There were so many times starting this business off, I really and truly think I wasn't going to make it. And I didn't have the money a lot of times to pay my bills on time. But, the one thing I'm most proud of is, we never gave up. And the people that came on with me early never gave up either. And we encouraged each other. But, for the people who are trying to get started somewhere in a career path, the old saying goes, follow your dreams. But, those dreams are always, you have setbacks. I had so many setbacks. And, when I was doing a lot of speaking at one point in time, and I did a lot of stuff at colleges, there's nothing wrong with failure. Failure only means you tried. And if you don't ever try, you'll never know.
That's right.
You got to try the very best, and those setbacks are going to come. Even when you have success, you have those setbacks and failures, and I never forget those.
Yeah. Now, have you let Tyler have his setbacks and failures?
He hadn't experienced it quite like I have.
I don't think I've had them as bad as he's had them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness Tyler came to a business that was already established,
right.
There. But, Tyler, which I'm proud of, with all my children, is really, he grew up in this business, both on the hunting and fishing side. And, has been, when he's old enough to hold a rod and reel, go fishing with me. Same thing when we go turkey hunting. And so, he lives the outdoor lifestyle as my other two children do. And so, he has a lot of value to the company, and as a lot of our people do, just on the outside of experiences, him being younger and knowing what people want in this world today.
Right.
I try to keep up. I listen to my employees. I listen to Tyler. I watch my own family, and that helps to and guide me to a lot of decisions.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break here, but we're going to come right back and really dig into some very interesting concepts with these two guys. And if if you know who they are, you'll want to make sure you stay through the break and hear what they have to say. We'll be right back on the Fishing Business Podcast. Do you know what your personal brand is? Because everyone has a personal brand. You may not be intentional about it yet, but all that you say or do or write or post contributes to how others perceive you. And that, my friends, is your personal brand. If you want to develop your brand and mean the things you want it to mean, I have a workbook that will help you get started, and it's free. You can download my Developing Your Personal Brand workbook at www.fishingbusinessschool.com/brand workbook. We're back on the Fishing Business Podcast with Tyler Jordan from Realtree and Bill Jordan from Realtree. Both of y'all are hosts of Realtree Outdoors, right?
That is correct, but with the pandemic, I didn't go out as much this year. I let the younger people do it.
Now, let me ask you this: the fishing industry saw a big spike in business because of the pandemic. Did hunting see the same thing?
The hunting and fishing, with our fishing patterns that we have, and obviously the retail channels in which we sell, we were like everybody else in the rest of the world, and we were really nervous and worried about where this business was going if we had a business. And, we started seeing probably in April or May this past year, a lot of our retailers are saying, what, fishing's pretty good. Rod and reel business, lure business, fishing line, and what the pandemic allowed us to do is the outdoorsmen, our licenses went up this year, both in hunting and fishing, for us in sales. So, the people were getting out, Jordan Recreation, obviously they were isolated to whatever degree, but, our business overall, both on hunting and fishing have done well this year.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, talk a little bit about who Realtree's core customer is. It's not just a hunter, is it? It's an outdoors guy, right?
Yeah, it's the outdoors, men and women out there. It's not just, and I think that's why fishing's been a natural transition for us because, I think everybody that probably hunts fishes. And then on the flip side of that, there are probably a lot of fishermen out there that are hunters as well, some that are not. So it seemed like a natural transition to us, but we're a hunting brand, camouflage brand, but you don't have to wear Realtree, just to be a hunter or a fisherman. We try to just be a lifestyle brand and just, promote the outdoors, getting out there, no matter it's camping, backpacking, whatever it is. So I'd like to think that we can be a little bit of everything through our licensees and partners, a little bit of everything, that represents the outdoors.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, how did you come to the decision? Okay, talk a little bit. Tell me about when you decided to get into the fishing industry and how you came to that decision.
Well, I go back a long time ago when I mentioned, Bill Dance and Hank Parker and Jimmy Houston and Roland Martin, icons in the fishing industry, obviously, and been friends of mine for this long. And, we never could get Bill Dance to hunt a whole lot. Now, Roland, Jimmy, and Hank absolutely love it, which
Yes, right.
So, that crossover right there, even for me, a lot of people don't know this, but I had a fishing background. I used to fish tournaments way back in the day. And so I've known that group that I just mentioned for a lot of years. And my family was in the boat business, and here in Columbus, Georgia, you've been in Auburn 35 miles away, but I grew up in the boat business, and my dad was an avid outdoorsman, avid hunter and fisherman. So it just like the old saying, duck to water. I took to both. And when the hunting thing came around, it was a natural progression. But all of a sudden, when you start looking, Tyler had mentioned the lifestyle aspect of it, and there was a need for apparel, and not that apparel wasn't being made, but people like to be fashionable. They like to wear different type items. So it was a natural progression with us, and we went to today's world with a lot of fishermen that people recognize, and we got a great group of professional bass fishermen and influencers that are on our Realtree Pro staff, and just great guys. And majority of those guys hunt as well. So that crossover was a natural for us.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. What have y'all done so far? What's your journey looked like so far in the fishing world to reach those anglers?
Well, we do several different things. We're partners with Coastal Conservation Association, title sponsor of the kayak bass fishing, which that's been kind of something that's come on hot here the last few years. We have a list of pro staff. I know I'm probably going to leave some people out. Mark Daniels Jr., Jacob Wheeler, Casey Ashley, Mark Rose, Stetson Blaylock. There's several. We got a list right here.
Dustin Connell. Drew Gregg.
So we got a really good team. We've been
Andy Morgan.
Andy Morgan. Can't forget Andy.
Can't forget that.
You can't forget him. That's right. That's great.
We've been there going to the Bassmaster Classic. My first time going to the Classic was a couple years ago. And so to say that was, I've always obviously seen the Classic on TV and heard of it, but that was eye-opening for me. And just to see the crossover of how much camouflage was there. That just kind of proved to us that, man, we were missing out, I think, for a little bit not being in here, but we're happy to be here now. Obviously not creating fishing patterns to hide from fish maybe, but, creating a fun lifestyle brand on the fishing side has been fun. And I think that our hook antler logo that we have for that is kind of captures, both
Sure.
and fishermen, kind of unique. So.
Yep. I sure do see it in the back of a bunch of pickup trucks. That's for sure.
That's good.
I know, right? We like that. But I feel the same way about it. I've said it before on the show. At the Bassmaster Classic every year, I would always have sort of a moment where I was kind of emotional about, this is something that's so unique. And a lot of the people who are here, they come every year, they paint their faces, they just get totally into it, and they don't have anything else that they see in the media on a regular basis that validates their lifestyle like that does, And so you're right. It is the Classic is a lifestyle thing, and wearing your camo is like wearing your colors, it says something about
we're thinking back old school for me, but Forrest Wood, I knew Forrest real well, and Forrest was an outdoorsman and a hunter.
Oh, absolutely.
Earl Bench, which we all know. Earl and I've been friends since we were 20 years old together. Earl and I were a year apart in age. And, with Caymus, and of course his history with Triton and Stratus. And, I went back from the hydrosport days early on. But,
me too.
These guys were all just outdoorsmen, whether they were in the fishing industry or not. Their passion was hunting as well.
Right. And so if we're talking to these guys out here and girls that are listening, and we're saying to them, don't be afraid to branch out, and bring all of your passions into bear, with your content and your storytelling and your branding of yourself, how could they look at what you're doing and pull things out of it that they could use in their own journey?
Well, I think anything else, you've got to try it to see if it'll work for you. And, there's so many neat things that Tyler can address probably a little bit better than I can. But, you look at all the YouTube things that are going around, the influencer programs,
right.
How do I make a difference? Our industry's changed both on the hunting and fishing side. When we mentioned, the Roland Martins and the Jimmy Houstons and the Bill Jordans, when we all came through, it was we had very limited exposure. Back in the day, we had TNN and ESPN with our only real outdoor outlets, for
right.
major television. Today's world is totally different. You can reach so many people if you've got a good voice, a good program that you can, an outlet that you can reach these many people. We're constantly doing that with Tyler. Same thing as you're reaching out to us right now with podcasts and the world. You need to be into this world, what's happening today, and really understand it, really learn it. And I encourage anybody to just get on the computers, the phones, and just research things and how other people do it.
Right.
And maybe something may click for you.
Yeah. There are a lot of people, I'm trying to think, on the fishing side, I may not be as familiar with as like a startup, but you look at like the Hunting Public for the outdoors or somebody like Seek One. Those guys are doing it low down and dirty on YouTube and putting up their own content and, arguably probably one of the biggest hunting shows out there right now. And then you have another 600 shows on outdoor television. So, it's kind of crazy. You can pretty much find content any way you want to do it right now. And then podcasting, we've gotten into that too. So really what I tell people about that is just go do it. Just go throw it up there. Now you don't have to worry about going through a network or putting up your show. There are other ways, other avenues around that to reach people. And so, there's so many different ways to do it.
Well, one thing we talked about yesterday, we had a Zoom call meeting yesterday, and it's so true. Back in the day when we first got started and so many times with TNN and ESPN, one camera with a lens, you'd have $60,000, $70,000 in it.
That's right.
Now you just pick up this phone.
That's right.
So the cost of entry is not near what it was back in the day. So
no, you're absolutely right.
You've got some talent and got a unique story to tell. All I can do is encourage people to go for it.
Yeah. Well, and you guys, I think you've always really understood how powerful that storytelling part of it is. What do you say it makes good stories? What do you think makes good content?
I'm going to let Tyler start off on that. I got my own thoughts, but I'll let Tyler see if he can. What do you like to see?
I don't know. I just like to see, a compelling, like especially when a lot of the content I consume is a lot of deer hunting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to see something, it's not always about the kill maybe for me or always about the shot, but I like everything and the in between, all the work that went in leading up to that point.
The storytelling.
And I think that that's what is fortunate for us on the digital side is that, we're a television show, you have 22 minutes to try to show everything that may have happened in 2 weeks. And then on the digital, you can kind of show that as it goes. And then the process it took to get there, how many times you had to change your stand, the wind direction messed you up this day, so you couldn't go in there and hunt. And so I think the same thing can be said for fishing, though. I just like something that is real and just feels authentic to this industry. And I think that now you see people, that's why YouTube is really taking a life of its own. People are kind of, not that outdoor television is doing anything bad, but people are they want to get that expanded story and that expanded knowledge so they can also learn about how to apply it to maybe their own hunting or fishing adventure.
And it's happening current too. It's not, I film it today and air it 6 months from now.
Yeah.
It's a current deal. One of the things this is the old school. I mentioned this yesterday on a Zoom call we were on. I think one of the neatest things for me, I'm old school a little bit here, but I love to hear valuable tips on how-tos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something, if you mix it in with the storytelling, how to do something. If you're a little bit of a novice or uncertain of how to do it, you can reach that guy, that woman or lady, with a how-to. And so I still go back a little bit old school a little bit. I love, and in my mind, I don't think I'm ever too old to learn, both on the hunting and fishing side. I learn listening to new information from people.
Yeah, me too. And I like, the thing I get asked a lot, like for me personally, is, people ask me, y'all will understand this phone call. Okay. I get the call from somebody who's has rented a cabin at Lake Martin in Alabama in August, and they're asking me what they should fish with. And I say, you should go skiing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Make sure they understand that water's very clear.
Yeah.
And, you can see 10, 15 feet deep over there and figure it out. No, that's true.
But really, most people that are consuming this content, I think on the hunting side too, they're trying to figure out how they can learn something that they can take and use in their woods or on their pond. And so if you can, sort of illustrate some of that for people, to say, and, we all want to go when the fish are biting every cast, but, sometimes you do go in August where you can't buy a bite. And we don't see very much of that in people's content, but we probably should,
People like to see the struggle. I think that's something we found on this digital adventure that, we're doing right now is people like to see, as boring as it may be, 2 weeks of maybe just sucking and just not catching a fish, not seeing a whole lot of deer and just learning how you're going to figure it out and get better and, try to make it happen.
That's right. I agree. 100%.
I tell you, one of our current people who I enjoy seeing is Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah.
Jacob goes the extra mile, out there, for people who are listening in, for us. Who do you kind of do a look at? Jacob does a great job just promoting himself, his sponsors, his products. And I think anybody can learn a lot from somebody like Jacob.
100%. I agree. 100%. All right. I'm going to stop right here and take another quick short break, and we'll be back in just a flash with Bill Jordan and Tyler Jordan from Realtree. Be right back. I really want to hear from you to know what kind of questions you have and how I can serve you best in this podcast. The easiest place to reach me is probably at Facebook or Instagram, where you can find me as Fishing Business Podcast, or on YouTube, but you'll have to search for me there by typing in Fishing Business Podcast. Holla! All right, we're back on the Fishing Business Podcast with Bill and Tyler Jordan from Realtree Outdoors. And hey, one thing I should ask you is you've started a fishing line. It's not, like I say, it's not new, really. It's a couple years, right?
No, we've been out probably 5 or 6 years on the fishing patterns and kind of like the hunting patterns on the fishing aspect. We do new ones, every year and new introductions.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So it's we've got a new pattern we hadn't introduced yet. It's fishing too. Actually, we've got about 10 fishing patterns.
Wow.
But we got 1 or 2 that are favorite, that we're going to introduce. And, we have, so many good companies, one being Columbia. Columbia has our patterns. And so we reach people a lot of different ways on, quality merchandise. And hopefully everybody likes the style and the look. But the fishing pattern thing is just kind of interesting a little bit, Angie. We work on that year round. We're developing patterns all the time and different styles, different looks. And, I like the fashion aspect of it, but we have a team of people who go in there and we'll say, yes, no, maybe, whatever. And then we kind of narrow it down into the crowd favorite, so to speak. So
listen, without getting too, much into your trade secrets, what are you considering when you're doing fishing patterns? Because you're not really trying to camouflage yourself, right?
Absolutely not.
Well, we laugh around the office and about this, and I think you can relate to this, but the favorite color for everybody is blue, and blue, and blue. So, if you got something with blue in it, it seems like to be the magic for the fishing patterns or the lifestyle patterns. But, we have a team of women too that look at the patterns. We obviously try to, and our patterns too are universal. It's just not, we make them for the guys, we make them for the women or whatever. Yeah. We try to make them as universal as we possibly can. But we have a lot of women that thank goodness, like our patterns.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we look for anything in particular. Right. We just like really cool and unique designs and graphics. And we have a really talented team. Some of them are the same ones. Dad's hands-on with everything he does when it comes to patterns, but we have a good team of designers that work with Dad, and they do a really good job.
And it's fun to develop those patterns.
Oh, I bet that is a fun part of the job. And people can find Realtree Fishing at just about all the major retailers, right?
So Walmart, Academy, Columbia carries our patterns. Also Under Armour, Coliseum Apparel does a line of the Realtree fishing stuff. I know I'm probably leaving something out right now.
And pretty much every just major retailer, as you said,
That's great. That's great. All right. So how does a newcomer, somebody new to the industry and the sport, how do they get your attention? How does somebody stand out, make sure that you notice them?
Well, I'll go back to influencer type programs. Somebody that that believes in what they're doing. We have eyes out all the time from our office. Looking for new and scouting for new talent, new ways to do things, and and we're pretty easy to reach. From a standpoint, if somebody has something different that they want to present to us, we have it's almost like Shark Tank. Bring us something, and we'll be glad to take a look at it.
That's right.
So, but we're constantly on the look and what's trending. And so our people actually go out and look at other people to see what they're doing, what they're successful with. And, sometimes we pick up little things for ourselves that we can get better at.
Yeah.
So, but, if somebody's ever is interested about,
we're not hard to find.
We're not hard to find. And, we got a lot of good voices to talk to.
That's right. Whether it's through Instagram, Facebook, we're obviously at Bassmaster, all the big tour events, ICAST we're at too. So we're not, in this industry, as small as it is, we're probably not going to be too hard to find.
That's right. Tyler, what's the best business advice your father's given you so far?
He's given me a lot. I think it boils down to maybe even back to what we were talking about earlier, about just how you treat people. And just, this industry is so small, and just how you treat one another, means pretty much everything. We're lucky to have a good culture, and hopefully it's someday when he does decide to step aside, I don't know when that's going to be, but I hopefully never, but it's just always treat people with respect and kindness. And, usually in this industry, it comes back around. You just never know. I mean, that's people, right. In this industry, they go from one company to another, but you see a lot of the same faces. I've just seen it with him, a lot of the same faces for 20, 30 years. So you just never know who you're going to run into.
Bill, what was the best advice your dad gave you?
And when Tyler was just saying that, we preach this around our office on a regular basis, but honesty and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
If you're honest with people and you're transparent and not trying to hide anything, it makes life so much easier in your communication with each other.
Yeah.
And I think, my mom and dad, looking back, when we get through doing this, my daughter just went to take a pitching lesson. My wife just took her. This is after school for them. And then coming up in an hour, I'm taking my 12-year-old to pitching and hitting lesson for travel ball baseball.
Oh my gosh.
And so we're very much the family. A lot of people don't know that about. They see us one way, but we're all about family. And so. But my honesty and transparency is something I learned from a very early age, and I try to instill that with my kids.
Well, the honesty and transparency must have come in very handy back in the early days when you had to be honest with people and tell them you couldn't pay them.
No, this is very true. It's a very humbling time. And again, we could go on forever, but people say, "Oh, yeah, real trade. I could have done that." People don't know the sacrifices that I made. That a lot of people make, just not me, but that you make early on, but people don't believe this, but this is true. You can look on my tax returns, but for about 4 or 5 years, I averaged making about $15,000 a year.
I believe that.
I'm trying to live on it. And thank goodness I had no children at the time, and I was not married at the time. And but the struggles, we all have struggles in life, right. No matter what it is. No silver spoons. Nothing was given to you. And so for me, that was I'm very proud that I earned it the right way. I did it the right way.
Yeah. And Tyler, even though you've kind of gone into a business that already has a good track record, an incredible brand and incredible voice, you'll have your struggles too, man. There's no doubt about it. You will have your struggles too.
Absolutely. No, I mean, if anything, I feel like I got maybe even a little bit of a harder road to carry on this legacy, of everything. I feel the pressure a little bit,
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because Dad set a really good footprint here for the last, 30 something years, almost close to 40 years now. So, luckily, hopefully I'll have a good team around me just like he's had, and, hopefully having that eye for, whatever the next thing is. But I have a good teacher in this one.
Well, we all have to have the ability to change with the times.
Yeah, that's right.
And not be old, old school. What I did 20 years ago doesn't work today.
Yeah.
So right. You've got to be current with what's happening in the world today.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you spending the time, investing the time with us here today. And I can't thank you enough. And I know it's been very valuable for the people out there that are going to listen to this.
Thank you, Angie. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, we certainly do appreciate it. Always good to see you and hear your voice.
Nice to see you. Well, now that's a pair to draw to, I think. Great guys there and great insights from them on how they have grown their brand, how they've branched out into fishing, and a lot of valuable take homes for me and you of things that we could do just like they have. Be humble and transparent, just like Bill Jordan said. That was the best advice he'd ever been given. Be humble and transparent. That's something all of us can do. And then also, as Tyler said, treat everybody like family. Treat everybody the way you'd like to be treated. And then I think one of the other key takeaways from this episode of the Fishing Business Podcast is don't be afraid to branch out. Bring some of your other interest into your current offering of what you're offering your fans, whether that's fans that are following you on Facebook or Instagram or social media, or your people that you hope to hire you one day. It's always good to branch out. Don't be afraid of that. All right, y'all, I'm going to close things out now the way my favorite fisherman, Jerry McInnes, always closed out his show, The Fishing Hole, by saying this is dedicated to Dad because he always had time to take me fishing. See you next time, y'all.